Hello, it's Leah Weston here with AVI Systems for our Monday Moments. It's our number 20 for Monday, June 14th. And this letter, we're looking at topics starting with E. Last week, I talked about highest energy wins and going to Red Rocks for that amazing concert with people. Today it was a special one. I would like to introduce my colleague, Robert Mathews. He specializes in eSports here at AVI Systems. He's an expert in that area. So we're going to have an interview and talk a little bit about eSports. Robert, thank you for being here today. How are you doing?
Very well, Leah. Thank you for inviting me. It's lovely to see you.
All right, cool. So eSports is something that people kind of over the age of 30 may not know much about. So there is a lot of buzz around it. What drew you to become an expert in esports?
Yeah, well, maybe that the demographics are very interesting actually, because there are a lot of viewers in their 30s and in the older demographics. But um, I've always been interested in gaming, and when I was younger, especially with the old arcades in the 90s, it was a lot of fun and a lot of community around that, and that passion kind of led me in ways into my career in AV systems, entertainment systems, and all the associated technology around them. So it's been really interesting to see that evolution, and my passion from esports is also coming from the education potential that it has too.
There's another E word. So some of this old school people may have grown when our kids were growing up said, stop playing those video games and focus on your studies. And it's fascinating to me that esports is actually people can get scholarships, and I'm really fascinated and focused on the intersection of esports and mental health. That's a huge area where and you've taught me things in this where people that it can provide a safe place where there's non-bullying. It can provide a code of conduct and a structure for people, and importantly, a connection. Because of especially during the pandemic, so many kids that were isolated to be able to have connection with others and purpose. So I really think that's incredible. Um,
Yeah, it's a very interesting subject because the gaming community like to say that we were self-isolating before we had to self-isolate, right?
yeah.
But the esports community gives a community to the gamers outside of the digital interactions. It gives them a place that they can collaborate and get better at their gaming processes and also develop other skills associated to gaming. And we see holistic wellness as a really important part of that. The perception of the activity is often, as you said, that it's an insular activity because you see an individual playing a game, but often the the experience is overlooked because that experience is actually connecting you to many people simultaneously as part of multiplayer games. And there is a whole social and digital interaction and collaboration aspect included in that that you might overlook if you just see someone playing a game on their own. If the players aren't visualized as you see them playing a two-player game, right? At the arcade, playing a fighting game, you see two people playing each other. So that is one of the contributors to the perception.
Interesting.
Um,
Yeah, and so mental health benefits, socialization benefits. What other positive aspects, or are there other positive aspects from esports?
yeah. Well, in terms of wellness, which is a really important aspect because the professional esports community is collaborating, coming together to help bring awareness and to help promote wellness. And having a venue and a center for that makes it a lot easier to provide guidance. So nutrition is an important aspect of wellness, as is exercise. And there are a lot of remote exercise elements like Peloton and Zwift for cycling, and there are rowing and kickboxing exercise machines that provide a gamification and an automation aspect of it that is quite synonymous with gaming, which is cool. But then mental health is really important, of course, as you mentioned, having a code of conduct, being able to reduce toxicity within the gaming environment, and provide accessibility. There's the HBCU Esports League that's doing great work right now, and we're focusing on reducing the gender gap within esports, because there really isn't a big gap in terms of gamers themselves. But promoting women in esports is going to help reduce that and find new ways to make women feel more included in the esports experience and venues. And then, of
Hey,
course, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, inclusion, whether, um, gender, here we are in Pride Month, all of those things. It's just super cool to me that playing a video game is releasing stress for for all of us that actually play. So,
Nice.
what are some trends that you've seen?
Well, that's a good point. It's just the accessibility. Anyone can play a game, pick up a controller, even if you're disabled, physically disabled. You can still play competitively. There is adaptive controllers and ways. So it's amazing to have that kind of portal.
Yeah,
Um,
it's really
and
an equalizer, isn't it?
yeah, exactly. And there's also avenues of counseling support that's really a very interesting new emergent trend within the therapy field, where you can use games to support the patient, and you can also use gamification elements to make the therapy experience more engaging. Really interesting concepts that are breaking ground there. Um,
Definitely. So you mentioned that esports was insular before insular was cool. Are there other ways that the pandemic affected the industry?
Yeah, well, it's really interesting. You're talking about trends and how the pandemic plays into trends. A lot of the trends are related to the technology that we deploy. DV-LED displays are really exciting. Best case visual display technology, and the price of those have come down significantly in recent years. So being able to deploy that in an esports venue is really a fantastic experience to engage the audience to the next level. In addition to that, video production systems have really come a long way. And when we look at how the pandemic has affected video production, cloud-based live events and cloud-based video production has come leaps and bounds. A lot of that was on the verge of breakthrough anyway, and the pandemic just accelerated that, and particularly brought it into the gaming world, where many live events have floundered and not had a solid foothold to recover yet, or to have a solid way to reach their audience. Gaming can and has adapted really well, especially when traditional sports were affected also.
Yeah, definitely. And we're seeing that same acceleration in meeting room technology and the need for hybrid rooms and meeting equity, as we call it. So the people that are remote and the people in the room, everyone can be seen and heard. So yeah,
Exactly.
definitely interesting
It,
times.
yeah, I mean that's a good point, Leah. We've seen a shift in society, an accelerant of adoption of the collaboration and video conferencing technologies that we've been promoting and encouraging and explaining the return on investment potential for years or decades. And now it's been accelerated, and society accepts it. When you're on a video call with your parents or your grandparents, you can really see that level of adoption being accepted. And now, of course, the workplace has to adapt at an accelerated rate also, especially as we see the advancement of technology being able to help the facilities groups maintain pace.
Yeah, and we could even set up a nice little esports area for these corporations for people to go and have a mental health break during
Right,
work.
exactly. You know,
Yeah,
it's a great point, because we see gamification games areas like the pool tables and ping pong and things, but
yeah.
increasingly game centers are a really important part of corporate culture as well. Just recently, we had a large project deployed where we used a creative environment for a new type of arcade system. So that technology could be employed and help have a healthy competitive experience with your colleagues.
Wow, interesting. All right. Well, do you see anything else, or what else do you see for the future of esports? Where's your crystal ball? Are
There,
you gazing in there?
yeah, there's so many aspects of that to dive into. We could do a session on just any one of them, but I'll just focus on the live events because that really is first and foremost in everybody's minds within the industry as venues are opening up, facilities are re-embracing the esports potential and esports events, and just finding new ways to deliver this to the audience and to deliver it in technologically exciting ways as the audience experience can be enhanced. And it's really, really fun to be working in that.
Yeah, we're definitely in some interesting trailblazing times, and I sure appreciate you being part of our Monday moments here. The purpose of these talks, the purposes are connection. So I appreciate being connected with you and part of our esports work group. Thank you for leading it. Also, information. So for anyone watching, if you weren't familiar with esports, now you are. And then also inspiration. So we can be inspired that if the kids are playing video games, maybe let them do it because they're going to do it anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly, Leah, and be a part of that experience. It's fun to be knowledgeable about the potential it has. Great. Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
you bet.
Take care.